What was the black market in your high school? The cafeteria, not school run. Kind of just a cafe inside the school, would charge $3 for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So one girl kept the ingredients in her locker and charged $1. When the school caught wind and shut it down, they tried to guilt us all by saying how the cafeteria was someone's livelihood and we were taking away from that. But like, $4 for peanut butter? Handballs. Went to intermediate school in a coastal city where kids were f***ing nuts for handball. The school wasn't very big, so every once in a while kids would hit the ball in a weird angle and have it go flying onto the roof. Lost for eternity. For reasons I won't get into. During lunch I would volunteer as a garbage collector, picking up people's plates and dumping them out. Packing up the garbage bags, etc. I became really good friends with the janitors, and so one day I mentioned to them how the roof was probably the holy grail of handballs. The next day one of them handed me a huge trash bag filled with handballs that he had picked up from the roof. For about a month I became the most popular kid in school. I sold cup noodles in my locker because we didn't have a very good timetable for lunch. Our high school had an internet filter. An enterprising friend of mine set up a free BSD server in his basement and put together some 256 millibars flash drives with an executable version of Firefox. Could run directly from the flash drive without installs and a SSH client. You could plug it in, connect SSH, then use the server as a proxy for all the Firefox traffic and get around any website you wanted. Those flash drives were a hot commodity. Let me tell you. You could set up in the library and just start casually browsing a banned website. And people would start coming up and asking how you could do it. I was one of the first people in my high school to get high-speed internet. My computer had a 2x CD burner. And Napster was going full swing back then. So music. $5 for a burned CD with whatever songs you wanted. I made a pretty decent amount of money. Maybe $40.50/week. For about a year. Beat mowing lawns and shoveling snow. That's for damn sure. My school ended up banning soda because it was too sugary. They replaced all the soda vending machines with Gatorade. And started to serve only fruit punch and pink lemonade in the cafeteria. So my band teacher started secretly selling soda out of his classroom. The classroom was by itself on the far end of campus. So no other teachers were around. The band students spread the word to other students. So he had a nice stream of customers. And he used the money to buy band equipment since the school wouldn't fund him. Band, theater, and art shared a budget with sports. So of course sports always got all the money. The soda was too sugary. So they replaced it with Gatorade, punch and lemonade. T83 calculators. Everyone had to have one and some people could not afford them. We had one guy that was known to steal them from other students and resell to people that needed them. The theft was so bad that the administration bought an etching tool and we had to etch our names into the calculators. It all came down when the supplier sold a kid back his own calculator with his name on it. The kid got in a fist fight with the supplier. Bad fight. We broke it up and administration came running in. They picked up the supplier's backpack and he had like 50 calculators in it. He was expelled. He was also really dumb. He is currently in prison for trying to hold up a taxi cab with a squirt gun. Cab driver pulled out a real gun and called the cops. Went to a very strict boarding school that essentially prohibited most things. So a black market existed with practically every student having their own product specialty. From music, to potato chips, to drugs, to PRN, to candy, to books etc etc. I was the soda guy. You wanted soda, I had you covered. This didn't happen in high school, but rather in elementary school. Every few months we would have a book fair type of thing at school. And every time I bought a Pokemon book. By grade 3 I had about 6 of them. I started lending the books to other kids in my class. And they would read them instead of paying attention. The teachers caught onto this and started banning the Pokemon books. This just increased demand. In order to keep track of who had which books, I gave all of the regulars book cards that they could trade. One of my friends who somehow always had candy saw a market there. And so I told people they could also trade in the Pokemon cards with him for candy. We created a currency and we were the mint. Eventually the teachers traced it back to us. Some of them laughed. But our main teacher was PIEIEist. T was cash. Not high school. But year 7, 11-12 years old. In 1999. It was absolutely mandatory to be listening to the Slim Shady LP. A friend of mine happened to have an older brother with the CD and a dad with a CD burner. Quite the little hotshot. He made a killing selling copies for you a cute 5 ago. I graduated high school in 2011. We had senior shirts but this guy's design was rejected because it was going to say S11, SE for seniors and 11 for OSI 11. The school didn't find that appropriate for a bunch of 17 and 18-year-olds so they rejected the design. He then went and started selling the t-shirts himself after our senior shirt came out and it was ugly. Everyone started to buy them and wear them on our free dress days. The administration was in an uproar about it. Eventually all the seniors were called to a meeting where the principal screamed and cried to us about these shirts and tried to embarrass the shirt maker. But we all hated the principal so no one cared. This was middle school. But anyways. My teacher was selling candy for $1. I bought in mass. Sold for $2. I was a dumb idiot and gave some friends candy loans and they never paid me back so I went bankrupt. I was always super hungry but I was never given lunch or lunch money so I started stealing packs of biscuits at home and trading them for the bits of people's hot lunch that they didn't want. Thing is no one else's parents ever bought these TTYS cookies but everyone loved them. So I would be able to get a lot of food in return for a few cookies which was nice. You might ask why I didn't just eat the cookies if I was that hungry. Well they're also what I had for dinner at home so it was nice to get some variety and a vegetable into my body once in a while. Dude WTH. Is this horrible parenting or was there a reason? So. You know how every high school has a trench coat kid? Well the trench coat kid at my high school would open up his trench coat to reveal dozens upon dozens of sewn on pockets stuffed to the brim with snacks and candies. He had them organized like shelves at a candy store, 2 gummies on the inside right breast flap. Trolley eggs on one side of the second pocket from the lapel. Peach rings on the other. He sold snacks for half the price of the vending machines and would add a cash to this giant wad secured by a rubber band in the only interior pocket on the trench coat. Also, everything he sold was that kind of rare and coveted varieties of snacks that you only find in that sort of occasional, unassuming gas station you stop at the beginning of a road trip but can't find again on your way back. He also had popular snacks in packaging I've never seen anywhere else. Like comically miniature Takis that came in a dollhouse sized bag. My school had a gum dealer. This was in early 90s high school. Dude had his backpack stuffed with packs of gum and it was emptied daily. His parents owned a convenience liquor store so he had easy access to supply. I'm guessing he took 100% profit and his parents took a 100% loss. Or his parents were like, sell these. I remember his name. I wonder what he's up to or what he's in for these days. I'll have to look. Edit. Looked him up. 11 court cases. Looks like mostly traffic. But a few marked TR and JM. Not sure what those are. It's not a black market per se. But our school has a folder that is shared between all desktop computers in the district. Its name is the Student Shared Drive. This folder has been there from elementary school. And maybe even before. But recently, our school decided to give Chromebooks to every student. This has left that folder completely unmoderated, allowing people to put a lot on there without repercussion. Last time I checked it, it had a GameCube emulator. Sounds like the shared drive for religion class we had in high school. Buddy and I uploaded a couple games and we were regularly playing COD 4 in class with 8 people or so. Eventually we got found out after someone uploaded some moderately offensive photoshops of teachers which got spread. Well, turns out IT knew all along, which we already suspected, cause how the hell would 30 GB of games not go unnoticed, and were actually playing the games themselves. Even added a few games too. They then offered to set up a hidden directory, principal didn't know, with all games and left it up to us to decide who got access. Elevator keys. Our high school had 2 separate 4-story buildings. It was probably good for our collective health. But it sucked running from one to the other on short breaks. There was one elevator in each building. Reserved for A. Teachers. B. Disabled students. And C. Injured students. Elevator key borrowing, stealing, renting, copying ensues. Soda bought for $1.50. Sold to students for $2.50. A backer. The really intelligent kids with excellent rapport with teachers would charge $5.20 to cover you when you ditched a class. Highest I paid was $38.63. Haggled down from $75 to skip school entirely so I could go on a date. He just lied for me in every class. And marked me as present when he was told to take the class attendance list to the receptionist. I'd say at least 4-5 backers were functioning for 10-20 people each day. I did it for one day and made $130. Got caught because a kid's parents called in. The next day he cracked and ousted. Took 3-4 months before that market recovered. So many jobs lost. TLDR. Private school kids have too much money. So they spend more to not attend the private school. It was actually me. I started a piracy ring sophomore year and it continued until I graduated. Essentially we had a massive stockpile of pirated software. Movies. Games. etc. Anyone could join. On the condition that they kept it quiet and they made sure to add stuff every now and then. Anyone who didn't contribute was eventually removed. And by the time I had to shut it down there was probably over $6,000 worth of stuff there. With around 80-100 active users. The school eventually started getting suspicious about all the software floating around and I didn't want it getting traced back to me. So I nuked it all and left no evidence that led back to me. Smart. We had a kid named Makeel. You didn't go to him. He came to you. Most days he would slide up and just offer you some candy at a good price. One day he had a PSP on the market. The best deal came when he had packs of Reese's Pieces. Market must have been slow that day, so when I said no to $1 he haggled himself down to $0. 10. Edit. After thinking about how $0. 10 candy got me 500-ish upvotes, I remembered that it was not Makeel. It was Demetrius who cornered the market. Condoms, oddly enough. Can you tell I live in a small town in the Bible Belt? Hell, you could get the things for free from the health department. But damned if people didn't recognize each other and talk. Same with buying them in stores. Hell, my ma didn't care, we'd take my sister for her depot shot. I'd pick up a paper sack of condoms, sell them for 50 cents a pop to the junior high kids. Hell, it's how I paid for art club fees and money for the trips. I'm horrified that this was in middle school but impressed that they were using condoms. Lunch passes. Why 11s could leave school at lunch to go to town. Not necessarily a black market. But at my middle school we weren't allowed to chew or say the word gum. Being a bunch of preteens. We found it funny to call it the stuff. Middle school is where I learned how to discreetly chew gum. Game Boy cables to trade Pokemon. The Wi-Fi password. People shared the Wi-Fi password around. They would secretly write it down on pieces of paper or tell other students quietly. I was one of the first kids to find it out and I started to spread it. In elementary school. Whoever controlled the silly bands. Holy damn. I was expecting innocuous stuff like the Pokemon cards or Beyblades that were traded on the down low at my school. Semicolon. Boo, then I realized this question was for high school rather than primary or middle school. By the time I hit high school I was nowhere near cool enough to be involved in a black market. This will date me a bit, but hacky sacks were a big fad my freshman-sophomore year of high school. And they were sold out everywhere. My grandma used to knit and crochet, so I asked her to make a bunch for me and sold them for $5 a piece. I turned my grandma into slave labor, selling cigarettes one at a time to younger classes. They usually were either too stupid or mathematically impaired to realize I was selling them more expensive than it would have been if they actually bought a pack. But most of them would have trouble with their families if they learned they were smokers. In my country, teachers don't really care if you smoke in school as long as you don't do it in the front yard. We even had a teacher who joined us in smoking sessions and trashed our low quality cigarettes, insisting cigars were the only smoke products that were worth it. Fireworks on Halloween were a huge thing in my town, Canadian town in BC. We were all underage, so the black market for fireworks and firecrackers was insane in the weeks leading up to Halloween. Most of us went to this one guy who took them from his dad's shop. He never wanted money for them but straight barter system for other goods kids couldn't get. So the month leading up to Halloween everyone would go around town gathering cigarettes, beer, weed, etc. to barter. And that kid made bank. He never really worked but had cigs and other goods until February-March of the following year. This kid always got the craziest stuff. One time it was these energy drinks from Japan. He sold them for $1.00 and everyone bought them. Another time it was cookies. The greatest were these weird nuts that he said were like chewing tobacco. I don't know where the kid got them, but everyone wanted them, since they were a substitute for chewing tobacco, which would get you in trouble. Basically, you would chew on these walnut looking things because it was only a walnut and we couldn't chew tobacco. But they make you salivate like crazy. And it was a dark, thick saliva. Not to mention it made your entire mouth go numb. So we all tried them in class. And there were about 10 of us, with numb mouths, drooling tar. I don't know what they were, but it was a wild experience. I dealt in homework. Maths homework. Got me a nice amount of money and other things like candy. Sometimes even homework from other subjects. I hated French, so I had a guy that did my French homework and I got him my maths homework. VHS PRN tapes. They were innocuously labeled so grown-ups wouldn't be suspicious. Hey, can I borrow the Tyson Douglas fight? That was a PRN called Bad Girls with a young Ron Jeremy. Zul favors. When I was a junior, they caught several girls trading blowjobs for money in the auditorium. I never got involved, gay guy here. But my classmates still talk about it years later. Hey, I'm not straight but blow is blow. Trading blowjobs for money. The word you're looking for is prostitution. Prostitution noun. The practice or occupation of engaging in sexual activity with someone for payment. I'm not judging, but let's call a spade a spade. So apparently some 9th graders in my high school were selling tasers at some point. Not really black market, but we used to gather for poker in middle school. Damn, I miss those times. Junk food of any kind. Some of the teachers got into it too. In fact, the whole thing was run by the orchestra teacher off the books. Not really a black market as such as one person, but still. When I was at school, my friend used to bake these bread rolls, as well as cheese rolls and things like that, and then sell them to other students. Seemed harmless enough, but he was so terrified of being caught, despite it not being against the rules, that he decided it would be safer to call them mice. So instead of teachers overhearing a student selling bread rolls to other students, they would overhear a student selling mice. To this day, when I think about it, it still makes me chuckle. He would go up to people and say, "Hey man, you want to buy some mice?" Then go into his bag and bring out a variety of bread rolls. He's in medicine now. Don't really know how I feel about that. I would forge parents' signatures on people's homework and tests they failed. $20 a piece. I made fairly good money doing it my junior and senior years. Drugs and burned CDs. Yes, I'm old. Schoolwork and take home exams. I made a killing back in high school putting my mind to work. Nitrous oxide from the chemistry and biology closets. Tea was good. There was a kid at my HS called Sandwich Guy. His mom would make these incredibly delicious sub sandwiches and he'd sell them at school around lunchtime. Admin found out. Tried to shut him down. But the students revolted. Some kids made free the Sandwich Guy t-shirts and he kept selling them on the low. Trading nudes like UGR cards. We had a big burger market. The school didn't sell fast food in the canteen. But there was a Burger King nearby. So every time when Samom had a bit of free time, he would go there, buy some cheeseburgers and sell them between class with high profit. I had the Red Bull market cornered. I'd buy a 4-pack of them for $4.50 and sell each one for £2. Back then Red Bull was the hip drink so everyone wanted one. I even had a teacher who'd occasionally buy a Red Bull from me after he found out. I had my own school locker that I used to store Red Bulls and rented 2 others from other kids too. The most I made in a single day was £60 and I was only selling during break times too.